This is what changing your affections looks like. This is what changing what you are attracted to looks like. I have talked about this for years on this channel. Even though this is a fitness channel, I've talked about this for years because changing your affections and changing what you're attracted to is very relevant to the health and fitness world. You have to become attracted to being healthy. You have to become attracted to eating healthy food. You have to change your desires and change what you are attracted to. And that is exactly what Meg Thee Stallion did. Now, let me just be clear. I don't know what Klay Thompson does behind closed doors, but what I do know is that he is a marked difference from Tory Lanez and all of the other men that Meg Thee Stallion has dated. She has changed her affections. So there's just a physical difference. Number one, Tory Lanez is sort of this gangster or wannabe gangster from Canada, short, the look. Klay Thompson is this taller, demure basketball player. Now, again, as I said before, a lot of them are philandering, but we're not getting the same vibe from these two guys. And I guarantee you, Meg finally got sick of it. A lot of people will not admit this, and a lot of women will not admit this, but a lot of women feel like their type is a certain guy, and so they only stick with that guy, meaning they feel like that's a match, right? So Meg Thee Stallion is like this rapper, and she's this boisterous singer, and in her mind, she may have thought, you know what, I belong with a rapper. That just makes sense. I should be with a rapper. I can't be with some quiet guy who has millions and millions of dollars, who's successful in his own right, who actually has character and seems to have some kind of value. I need to be with a Tory Lanez. That very much could have been her mentality. And a lot of women have that mentality where they feel okay, because I'm a fitness trainer, I need to be with someone else in the fitness industry, or I need to be with this guy. So they pick people based on these weird, abstract ideas that no one said matter. And you cannot date a Tory Lanez, get someone who has, lacks civility, lacks chivalry, and expect to all of a sudden get that out of him. You have to change your affections. And so I'm very excited and happy that Meg finally decided, at the very least, I'm going to try. At the very least, I'm going to step outside of my box. Now, look, don't get me wrong. Klay Thompson is attractive, okay? I personally did not find Tory Lanez to be attractive, so I'm like, girl, what are you doing anyway? But Klay Thompson is attractive, which makes it a lot easier. And I'm not saying that women should date men that they're not attracted to. You should. But you should be attracted to men who are healthy, men who demonstrate character and chivalry and civility, and who demonstrate values that you would like to have. That's what you need to be attracted to. Meg was attracted to degeneracy. She was attracted to that gangster lifestyle. She was attracted to that down the street hood rattery. And she finally decided, no, I'm not going to do that. And you can do it too. Klay, in a lot of ways, would exemplify a nerd. To be honest, if he was if you put him next to Tory Lanez, you'd be like, oh, that's, Tory Lanez is problem child. Klay Thompson is nerd. Yes, a lot of people would say that. Now, of course, I'm someone who's attracted to put together, well-groomed, eloquent, diligent men. That's just something that I'm attracted to. I would never be attracted to a Tory Lanez. I actually never have been in my life, but some women have, and so they would never date a Klay Thompson because he's just too good. He's just too much of a goody two-shoes. But guess what? You got with someone who wasn't all that, and it got you shot in the foot. It got you shot in the foot. So whether Tory Lanez did it or her friend did it, you were in that circle. You were in that kind of circle where hood rattery was the norm, where your physical violence was the norm, where gun violence was the norm. And for a while, Meg Thee Stallion found that to be attractive. She found that to be, that's her persona. Baby, you have a whole bachelor's degree. What are you doing? And so, dare I say it, Meg Thee Stallion, I believe, is questioning, not in a bad way, she's questioning her value. She's questioning her worth. She's asking herself the right questions. What kind of life do I want? What kind of relationship do I want? And what kind of man is going to be the man that helps me get there? Now, That's a very good question that every woman should be asking herself. What kind of life do I want? What kind of values do I want in my life? What kind of people do I want in my circle? How do I want to be treated? And that's the kind of man that I need to be attracted to. Because gut instinct will have you attracted to trauma, will have you attracted to poor behavior. And that's the truth. That's why, you guys, you're like, well, I don't know why I keep choosing bad boys. Because something deep inside you thinks that you need to be earned. You have to earn your love. Deep inside you thinks you have to chase some love. So the man who is a gentleman might be too much for you, because deep down you haven't done your healing work to find chivalry and respect to be attractive. So I can tell you something, Meg has gone through some kind of transformation, because there's no way that she would choose a Klay Thompson in the same mindset that she would choose a Tory Lanez. And that's the kind of transformation, that's an inside transformation. She had to do some deep inner work to say, why do I think that disrespect, degrading, barely legal behavior, not as in like age-wise, but like, borderline criminal behavior is attractive? Why do I find that to be attractive? What is wrong with me? That's a real question that women have to ask. What is wrong with me that I find that to be attractive? And then you talk to your therapist or your coach or your pastor or whoever is credentialed and educated in that arena, and you go, okay, let me work this out. Let me figure out why I'm around people who know that I have a reputation to uphold and have millions of dollars to protect, and they allowed me to get shot in the foot. What is wrong with me that I'm hanging out with those kind of people? Yes, that's a real question that you have to ask. And I'm not saying it's her fault. I'm not victim blaming, but those are genuine questions. When something that I do very frequently, and I've told you guys this before, the question that I ask myself all the time is, to what extent did I contribute to this hot mess that I am in? And you've always contributed just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm not saying it's wholly your fault, but you have always contributed just a little bit. And to be able to say, okay, I contributed a little bit to this foolishness, and so I need to do something differently. And that is what Meg Thee Stallion has chosen to do. I am very, very happy for her. Again, I will say this for the third time in this video. Klay could very well be a philandering, basketball player. He could be very much like a professional athlete. That's what they do. But at the very least, what I think about Klay Thompson is this. He may get caught, but he's not going to be doing it in anyone's face. Like, you guys, we barely really hear about Klay Thompson's, flings or interactions. We barely hear about them. We hardly hear a peep out of his camp, or he doesn't have a lot of scandal around his name. And that's a great thing for Meg. That's a really, really good thing for Meg. That's the kind of man that you want to be in a relationship with. Whether he does it behind closed doors, like, of course, if I knew that he was doing something behind closed doors, I'd say no. But just from like a celebrity standpoint, when people don't have a lot of mess around their names, that's a better person to be around. In real life, let's talk about people who are not celebrities. If you see a guy and he's always got a different girl on his arm, or that's a problem. That means that man has a lot of drama around him. That's not someone that I would find attractive, right? You don't hear about ladies clamoring for Klay Thompson, right? Not because he's not attractive, but I think because he gives off this demure and quiet and subdued personality. And a lot of girls find boisterous, loud, gangster personalities to be attractive. They find it to be attractive. And so all of that to say that you can change your affections. And in fact, I think it's not, and your attractions and your desires, I'm not talking about the way that someone looks. However, you guys all have had that story where you're like friends with someone and you meet them and you get to know them and you're like, wow, you're actually really attractive because I like who you are. What you have to do is change that as your initial reaction. Your initial reaction has to be, he's handsome, and I love that he's mature and respectful and doesn't have a lot of drama and doesn't have a criminal history. and isn't engaged in degenerate behavior and it's not indecent. Like, I find that to be attractive. And you have to work to find that to be attractive. And that's a self-value issue. That is a self-value issue. So get to work on yourself so that you can find men who are healthy, attractive. Okay, from the onset, this looks to be like a good change for Meg. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. But I had to get on here and say this because you guys know I've said this for years. A lot of women, you know, will find, you know, a certain prototype attractive, and then they wonder why they're not finding a man that wants to marry them. A Tory Lanez is not marrying you. A certain kind of man is simply not marrying you. They just don't want to get married. But you're going to try and twist their arm and convince them, absolutely, we're just not doing that anymore. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.